Have you been looking to upgrade your gaming monitor, but you're not sure what to get? This guide will help you in that journey. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. Today we're covering a topic that a lot of people will need experience in at some point in their life, especially if you enjoy playing video games, playing computer games, or doing any kind of real gaming type stuff. Yes, today we are going to be talking about how to choose the right monitor or TV for you. And we're going to try and lay that out in a way that is clear to understand for you, the consumer. Now, this started for me when my brother-in-law actually asked me, hey, I want to buy a gaming monitor. And the things that I know about gaming monitors and buying certain stuff like that, certain technology, I take for granted that it's just everybody would know this. But in dealing with my brother-in-law, it became clear that not everybody understands this technology stuff, and they might accidentally buy the wrong equipment, or they might buy something that kind of works now, but end up needing to upgrade shortly thereafter. So this guide will help you to avoid making mistakes. The first thing we need to do is figure out what kind of gamer you are. Some gamers are what you would consider a casual gamer, and some are a more serious gamer. If you're a serious casual gamer, let's lean towards the serious gamer side for you because it will actually make a difference. If you are what would be considered a casual gamer, then probably you're just looking for a new TV. Some of the things that you're going to consider for your gaming monitor will apply to your TV, and I will tell you what those are. There's a number of factors that we want to consider when we're buying either a TV or a gaming monitor. The key factors would be, before we get too far into this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. If you've seen some of our content already and have not subscribed, we want you to join our community. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get back to the video. The key factors would be the native resolution. Now, this is not the same as the supported resolution. Some TVs only support 1080p. That is their native resolution. That means the TV screen can only actually show an image at that image quality. It will support a 4K or an 8K signal, but it does that by taking that picture, squishing it down to 1080p, and then showing that to you. You're actually going to get some downscaling, which will cause problems with clarity. Even though you have a 4K signal and the TV supports 4K, it is not showing you the 4K picture, it's showing you a downscaled picture. Understand that when we are talking about the TV resolution, we are talking about native resolution. When you're buying a TV, it will say native resolution, 1080 or 4K or 8K, but it will also say supported resolution. And then it'll say 720, 1080, 4K, 2.7K, but you have to look at the native resolution. That's the number. The next thing you want to do is look at what are you going to be using this for. So what system are you using this on and what is it capable of? Now, if you have a next gen system, so that would be an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 at the time of making this video, you need to look at what that system can output at its max settings. So when you're looking at the gaming system that you're using now, or what you think you might upgrade to within the next 2 years. Technology advances every year to 2 years, so we've got to realize we're not going to just buy a monitor and use it forever. When you think about how long you've had the monitor that you have now or the TV that you've had now, then you can come up with roughly how long you think you're going to use it. When I look it up, this is just any old website, I see that the resolution output is up to 8K, and the frame rate is up to 120 frames per second. You wouldn't know this from just looking this up, but the consoles do not actually put out 8K right now, and it's very unlikely that they actually will. We need to find a monitor that does at least 4K native resolution. I can't stress that enough. We want to make sure that it supports up to 120 frames per second. Those are the two important things, native resolution and max frame rate. If you get a monitor that only supports 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, well, you're going to be wasting the performance of the system because your monitor will not be able to display everything that the console is capable of. Now, the other thing that we want to look at is refresh rate. That is the amount of time it takes for the panel or the display to actually show a change in state from one to the other. When something moves on the screen, how long does it take for it to show what it was here to what it is here? This is more important in competitive game modes, such as like a first-person shooter. If you're playing an experiential game, the monitor response time is not going to be as critical to you in that scenario. A typical gaming monitor will have a 1 to 2 millisecond response time. If you're looking at a TV, and this is where that divergence comes, if you consider yourself just a casual gamer that wants to play games for fun, you don't care if you're competitive, or you can get a reasonable TV that has a good native resolution, but the response time will be crap. And also your frame rate will probably be crap. It'll probably only support 30 or 60 frames per second. It is unlikely to support 120, but your response time is most likely going to be close to 10 or more milliseconds. There's very few TVs that go lower than like 8 milliseconds, and 8 milliseconds is not considered tournament performance. It is not high-end gaming performance. That is very, very slow. Now, some monitors have adopted a rating of GTG, good to game. They'll report the refresh rate as good to game. I've seen some as high as 6 milliseconds that say, yeah, this is still good to game, but it's nowhere near as good as the one that's 1 or 2 milliseconds. Keep in mind, there is a major price difference for a fast display. We're not going to talk about price right now. We're just deciding which monitor is the best for you. Then we can talk about what you can start to cut down on in order to save those dollars. Let's say we're looking for one that's 4K, 120 frames per second with less than 4 milliseconds. What are we looking for? Here we are on Amazon.ca, so these will be Canadian prices, and I've just typed in my search criteria as gaming monitor 4K. Right now, they're going to give me a lot of hits for this. You're going to see a lot of those specs are going to be in the title because we said gaming monitor. If you don't want to have the guesswork involved, I will put links in the description for like a 4K 120 gaming monitor, 4K 60, 1440, 240, or whatever. And if those numbers don't mean anything to you, they will by the end of this video. Right off the bat, I said I wanted a 4K monitor, and this one that they showed me, this Samsung one, which is sponsored, and it says display resolution is 1920 by 1080. That's only a 1080p monitor. This is not a 4K monitor. What that means, if you have like a PlayStation 5 that's putting out 4K, it will downscale that to 1080 and you will not be getting the full graphic detail that you're expecting from your video game. Keep that in mind if you will be limiting your hardware. At that point, you need to start wondering, why do I have a PlayStation 5 anyway? Because a PlayStation 4 will do 1080 all day. There are some reasons, and some of the true gamers are going to be yelling through their monitor right now saying, Anton, you idiot, what about the frame rate? Yes, I understand. Okay, frame rate will be better. And the PlayStation 5 has a performance mode, which will actually put out the image at 1080p so that it can bump it up to 120 frames per second. That's getting way more involved than we want to. We want a monitor that supports the highest spec, because if it does, it will also support the other specs as well. This monitor is a $200 monitor, and it does not do everything that we're asking for. If we're using a system that is a 1080 system, it's still HD, but it's not a 4K, this monitor would be great. Has a 1 millisecond refresh rate, which is exactly what I talked about. You can't get faster than 1 millisecond. It's a 24 inch, which if you're sitting 2 feet away, 24 inch is actually probably almost a little bit too big. You really want to be closer to about a 22 inch if you're sitting at a desk looking at it. You don't want a monitor that's so big that you're going like this, trying to look around at things. You want it to be within your field of view. If you're sitting further back, you can get a bigger monitor. So that's where you look at a TV or something. I personally game on a 42-inch TV, but I sit about 4 feet back. Here's one that we found. This is an Asus TUF gaming monitor. It's 28 inches, which again, you're gonna wanna be sitting a little bit further back from that, but it would be good to have on like a desk where you're sitting back and gaming with a controller. This is a 4K monitor, so it's 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. It also says it's IPS. Now, IPS means that you get good viewing angles. So if you look at it from the sides or up or down, anything off directly, and it'll still have good image reproduction. So if you use like a TF display, if you're not looking at it straight on, it gets really funky. This is a high quality display. The thing that you're going to give up with this though, this one actually has a response time of 5 milliseconds. Now 5 is still quick, but 5 is not 1. If you're not sure about the response time and how much it really helps, Linus Tech Tips did a great test of frame rate and response time to figure out how much better it made you as a gamer, especially in like a first-person shooter game. And they found that there was a noticeable improvement in your gaming when you have a fast monitor at a high frame rate. It does make a difference for sure. The problem you're gonna run into, a 4K monitor, it's very difficult to find one that's an IPS display with faster than 5 milliseconds. So this is a very good high quality display. It has good color reproduction and it will be very good for you. You're gonna sacrifice your response time a little bit to go for that higher graphical fidelity. The other thing to note, this monitor, even though it's quite expensive, only supports a 60 hertz display. That means 60 frames per second. So your hardware will only be able to do 4K at 60 frames per second. The good news is very few systems are actually putting out 4K at 120 frames per second. They usually drop you down to 1080 anyway. That doesn't matter as much, but this one will also limit you a little bit. And this is a $400 monitor. We're starting to get into some really high prices. Let's look at like the daddy of them all. This is the Samsung 32-inch Odyssey G7 gaming monitor. It is curved and it does up to 240 frames per second. That's what the 240 hertz is. And it has a 1 millisecond response time. This is an IPS panel display as well, so you'll get the color reproduction you want. You can look at it at different angles and still see what you're looking at if you're not straight on, which is really great. But keep in mind, this is an $800 panel to get everything that you're looking for. 4K, 200 frames per second plus, most guys will be gaming at 120, and a fast refresh rate. You see what that jump did. If you are not prepared to pay $800, $900 for a monitor, you need to give up something. Now, what can you give up? I would not give up your native resolution for anything. If your system supports 4K, get a monitor that supports 4K, period. It must have a native resolution of 4K. If it does not, you have no point in owning that system. Get a monitor that does 4K. That is the number one thing to get. The number one spec to pay attention to is that 4K. The next thing that you would want to do is the frame rate. Get the highest frame rate that you can afford. If it only supports 4K 60 and that's in your budget, get that. If it does 4K at 120, get that within your budget. After you've supported the frame rate, then look at the response time, the milliseconds rating. Get whatever millisecond rating you can afford that's in your budget. If your budget's only $200, you're probably gonna barely get a 4K and you'll probably only get 60 frames per second. It's gonna be a TN type monitor display. The image won't be as clear as IPS, but the 4K will make up the difference. I will put links in the description to the different monitors at the different price ranges. I'll point out the best monitor for that price that has those specs. I'm going to be looking primarily at 4K monitors, but I will be posting 1080p monitors because there are some people that are still gaming on like a PlayStation 4 or an older Xbox that are only doing 1080p outputs anyway. And so for you guys, you'll benefit from a couple other perks that the PS5 guys won't. You can get a 1080p monitor that does 120 frames per second with a fast response time for a little bit less than a 4K monitor that does all that stuff. So there are some benefits there, but do not, if you have a system that puts out 4K, do not get a monitor that does 1080. That won't be an upgrade. You need the 4K monitor. Period. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. you'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.